Hey viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist and welcome back to See Being Hunted, time for another podcast style episode. And I have to swallow, very quickly. I've just been munching on a biscuit, ladies and gentlemen, sorry. It's like, as I was saying, as I was doing my intro then, I just suddenly got this feeling of like something on the back of my throat. I was thinking, if I keep talking whilst this is on the back of my throat, I feel like I'm going to start freaking coughing and spluttering, and you don't want that, ladies and gents, now do ya? So, yes. Red had to swallow, ladies and gentlemen. He doth swallow very good and all that. Anyway, how are you guys all doing? Not that you can really tell me, as I want to record this, but you know. It never stops me asking, does it, ladies and gents? Like I say, podcast style episode. We're here to chill, ladies and gentlemen. I've noticed that my queue of videos on my upload schedule has got very thin recently. I really need to record a bit more. Work at the moment is getting very busy, I have to say. Part of the reason why the upload schedule has been thinning out recently, in terms of stuff that I've just got pre-uploaded on the channel ready to go, is mainly just because of the fact that these last few days in particular, there's a lot of marking that's hit me all at once. Because a load of dissertations I was supervising have all just been submitted, so of course I have to mark them. Most of them are about 15,000 words, so, you know, it's not exactly a case of they can be marked in an hour or so. They take friggin' hours and hours, if not days, to mark. So that's been hogging a lot of my time, ladies and gentlemen. And on top of that, what also doesn't help is the fact that at work, I think we've had a bit of a planning thing going on at the moment, just in terms of lots of people who were meant to be providing certain lectures have had to sort of ring in and say they're not going to be available for varying reasons. Possibly things like illness or other commitments or just things outside of work that maybe have come up in the way, you know, as happens. It occurs. What it means is that those of us who are available are obviously having to pick up the slack a bit, and so I've had to take on a couple of lectures at short notice, which means of course I need to prepare those, ladies and gentlemen. I've got most of it done, most of it ready, most of it's ready to go, and that's fine. But that just means that, you know, these last few days I've been very much focused on work-related stuff, and so as a result, it's given me little time to actually do, and he said Sir Being Hunted recordings, not just Sir recordings for the channel in general. And I have a feeling that this weekend, fuck it, I'll date the video, it's Friday the 6th of June as I'm going to record this. I have a feeling this weekend is going to be taken up with a lot of work-related stuff. So, I'm hoping I managed to set aside a bit of time to do some recordings on Saturday and Sunday. But the problem is I still have a couple of dissertations that need marking, and the deadline is looming. It's not imminently upon us, but it's getting close. And so I'd rather, in essence, get those marked and out of the way, so then I can concentrate on just tightening up my lecture packages that I've prepared, that kind of thing. So it's a bit annoying because this weekend I was hoping to maybe start recording a bit of Let's Watch content as well, both for Strategist and also for the Propagandist channel. Because, you know, if you follow me on Propagandist, you know I've been saying for some time that I want to do a retrospective Let's Watch of Ruby's Volume 1 to 4. And obviously there's tons of other Ruby content. I think Ruby Dust Queen, the fan project, actually its first episode might have been released recently, and I want to do a reaction to that. So, yeah, I want to do some content for Propagandist because it's been quite a few months since I uploaded anything over on there. And as well as that, I want to record more of these like Backrooms content Let's Watches here for Strategists, because I've done those two Backrooms merchant videos. If you haven't seen them, they're well worth a watch. But obviously, I've got at least two other channels who've indicated that they would be fine with me doing reaction content to some of their stuff. So I want to kind of, you know, get recording some of that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to be delaying that in essence too long, is what I'm trying to say. And of course, as usual, I need to record more content in terms of gaming stuff. Windbound, I need to crack on, do some more of that. We're in Chapter 3 of that game at the moment as I'm going to record this. And I need to record, obviously, more and more episodes of it. As you do and all. Right, I kind of need to get closer to these guys without them seeing me. You know, in other stuff, though, that I was thinking about recently, just before I started recording this video, so, you know, I don't want to be rambling on about work and all that. Boring the hell out of you. I was actually thinking about the Easter holidays a few weeks back, Because obviously, you know... Wow, you couldn't even hit me from there, could you? Terrible. Yeah, look at that. Coming right from under their noses. No, I was thinking about the Easter holidays, because did I mention that one of the things I did over Easter, me and some members of the family, we went up to the Lake District, to Grasmere, and we climbed up Easdale Tarn, Sour Milk Gill, and it occurred to me that I actually took a load of videos on my phone while we were up there, and I was meaning actually to maybe create just a little update video using that as a backdrop, but I never did, ladies and gents. Well, it's better late than never, right? But yeah, it's kind of like, I wouldn't want that footage to go to waste actually, because it's nice. You know, it was a good sunny day when we went up Easdale Tarn, and it's a beautiful landscape, obviously. I think I've probably talked about the Lake District before in some of my videos, you know. If you're ever visiting England, particularly the north of England, the Lake District is always a place to go, because it's beautiful, area of outstanding natural beauty and all that. And I'll say to all you Americans out there watching, yes, you know, the English lakes, compared to lakes that you have in the States, are not that big. I know, because there's always, you know, it just reminds me of a funny story. I remember when I was a teenager, and obviously I was still living in the north of England with family at the time, we went on, you know, a trip to go walking in the Lake District. I think it must have been somewhere around Windermere or Bowness, somewhere around there. And I think it was my mother overheard some American tourist. We were walking down the street, and I guess there was an American tourist or something walking nearby, and we were within earshot of what they were saying. And of course, you know, from Windermere or Bowness or wherever it was, you get good views over Lake Windermere. But this American tourist said something along the lines of, okay, so there's the river, where does the lake begin? I don't know what that accent is, that's not an American accent at all. But it was funny because it's like, no, that is the lake. That's not a river. That is the lake itself. Because, of course, you know, acknowledging, of course, in America, you have things like the River Hudson and things like that, which are massive rivers that are lake-sized, certainly by British standards. And so naturally, you know, when Americans think of lakes, they think of places like the Great Lakes, which are huge, you know. But of course British lakes are not like that, because Britain's geographically a much smaller country. But it's still beautiful, and it's still worth a visit. You know, if you like walking up hills, that kind of thing, Lake District is a great place. But the thing is, I would say, you know, if you're visiting it for the first time, obviously you'll probably want to go to places like Windermere and Bowness, but be warned, Windermere and Bowness they're very touristy, to put it that way. You know, in every country, in every place where one can go, turn that off, you will always find places that obviously have been very much built up for the tourist market, and Windermere and Bowness are no different. They are kind of the heavily touristy bits of the Lake District. So really, you know, what you want to do is get out of those areas, and you want to sort of explore, find all the villages, all the sites of interest. And so, you know, I would recommend obviously places like Grasmere. It's just a small village, and sure, you know, it gets a lot of tourists, but it's worth a visit. Ambleside, another place in the Lake District, which is also good to go to. Well worth a visit. My old folks, they always talk about Ambleside as somewhere that it would be nice to live. And having, you know, driven through it a couple of times with them before, it is a nice place from what I've seen of it. I don't think I've ever actually properly visited it, though, in terms of actually parking up and going for a stroll around the place. So maybe, next time I'm up in the north of England, maybe I'll have to ask my old folks, you know, if they want to go on a trip up to Ambleside, go for a wander or something. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of nice areas like that, basically, that are well worth visiting. Obviously, you've got to see the lakes while you're up in the Lake District and all that. And, you know, you can go fell walking, and there's plenty of fells and places to go up. I always remember, actually, one trip, when I was much younger, when I was a kid, me and my sibling, we went with my grandparents for a drive up around the Lake District. We stopped at, I think it was Ullswater, I remember being quite nice. It was like a little pub, restaurant, whatever it was, where we stopped off for a coffee. Well, they had coffee. Obviously, me and my sibling at the time just being kids. We just had, soft drinks and all that. It was good stuff. And so, God, yeah, I've not been to Ullswater actually myself in years. Come to think of it, I think that visit when I was a kid might have been the last time I visited. God. So many places in the Lake District that one can explore. But yes, I think actually, if anything, if you're a tourist going to the Lake District, probably what I'd recommend is taking a car with you. Or, if you're from outside the UK, getting a hire car or something. Because the Lake District is one of those places that, you want to be able to explore it, sort of at your own leisure. It's one of those places where, as you drive around, you probably see all kinds of interesting looking little things, and you think, oh, let's just stop here for a bit. If you're in a hire car, you can probably do that, because you can probably find a car park or something, somewhere nearby that is suitable for doing so. But I definitely also advise, maybe getting some maps of the Lake District overall, getting like a road A to Z, an atlas, that kind of thing, getting yourself a sat nav maybe, and actually before you arrive there, get an idea of what some of the interesting places that you might be interested in seeing. I mean, generally this is advice really for any tourist destination. In all honesty, I'm just sort of applying it here to the Lake District because it applies to it. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, so pre-plan your visit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Pre-plan your visit so you know what you want to try and see. That way you can drive around in your car. You can always stop off somewhere en route if you see something interesting and all that. Because like I say, Lake District, lots of little villages, lots of little public footpaths where you can go walking, that kind of thing. Have a good pair of shoes as well, ladies and gents. It's turning almost into like a life skills, well not life skills, but life advice episode, sorts, that me and Phil always like to do. Oh, what balls to you? Get out of here. Wow. Sometimes I'm just able to literally run right in front of them. Ow. Yow. God, I need to be careful. I'm dying. Wait! Stop it. Stop it, both of you. We're talking about the Lake District, okay? We're having a nice conversation. Oh, come on, not you as well. I hear one's off to my right. Robots. In the forest, I think they are. I'm out of here, thank you. Evidently those robots do not like the Lake District, they do not like me twittering on about it. But what can you do? Speaking of Grasmere, sorry, we're going back to that for a moment. Every time I've been to Grasmere, I always notice the long queues outside the gingerbread shop that they have there. It's supposed to be like world famous Grasmere gingerbread, but I've never actually had any gingerbread from that store, and this is very niche. Most people who've never been to Grasmere probably will have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, basically in the village of Grasmere there's a shop, it sells gingerbread, that's its specialty, and you see massive queues outside it whenever you visit. All the tourists, of course, who are lining up because they've heard of the world famous Grasmere gingerbread and all that. I don't know, from friends and family who've been there, I've not heard great things about it. It's kind of one of those things that maybe is a bit overrated in terms of, maybe I'm probably being very unfair to the the people who run that business here. I was about to say, it's one of those businesses where it looks like it has kind of a guaranteed stream of income, so they don't need to worry too much if, they annoy a few customers with a product that's not quite amazing, to put it that way. I know, I'm being an unfair judge of character here, but you know what I mean, right? Surely you understand, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm getting at. When a business has basically it set itself up in a way whereby it is pretty much guaranteed a stream of income because it's managed to do the PR and all that, and so as a result you could argue there's not as much actual motivation to ensure that every last instance of their product is of an amazing standard. I'm not saying the Grasmere gingerbread is necessarily bad, it's good, but I wouldn't say it was anything particularly special from everything I've heard. Well, there goes the sponsorship with Grasmere Gingerbread Shop, ladies and gentlemen. £5 million they were planning to pay me, and I've just wasted it all. I just dashed any hope of it, ladies and gents. You see, I'm sorry to grasp me a gingerbread shop. I'm just not willing enough to be, I'm just not willing enough to be a corporate shill for your particular business and all that. What am I on about? What am I doing? What am I twittering on about in this episode? I don't know. But that's usually how a lot of Surrey Being Hunted episodes on my channel go. It's just me twittering about whatever random crap is in my head and all. Whilst I eat red mushrooms apparently and trip out on them. Good lord. Right. God, it's actually getting dark in my room already. It's been a funny day here. Because obviously, it's June as I'm going to record this. Weather's warm. It's been sunny much of today, but it's starting to get a bit slightly overcast at the moment. It's funny because we've had a couple of days recently that have been raining, and already it's gone sort of hot and muggy again. So I'm hoping maybe it rains again sometime soon, just to clear the air out and all that. Clear the air out. What else can I talk about? Have I already exhausted my topic of conversation? I feel like I have, ladies and gents. I feel like I have. Actually, no. I was actually just thinking, memories of the Lake District, of childhood trips up there. Actually, there was one. I took a trip up there while I was in primary school. When I say a trip I took, it was a school field trip. And primary school, of course, for those who don't know, is when you're between the ages of 4 and about 10 here in the UK. So it's kind of, I guess you could say it's roughly analogous to elementary school in places like the US, if you wanted a quick comparison of what we mean. But yeah, I remember actually, I do have vague recollections of a trip to the Lake District we took with primary school back in the day. I remember we had a steam train ride, and then we went on one of the steamers, the boats, across Lake Windermere. I remember it being kind of fun, actually. It was pretty good. I mean, that's all I can remember from it, just a steam train and the steamer going across the waters. I can't remember anything else. Whether we did out, I don't know. Actually, come to think of it, we did actually go to Bowness when I was in high school geography. Oh yeah, actually that's a memory. Core memory unlocked. A memory that I'd completely forgotten about. Friggin' geography in high school. We did like a weird project, something about the impact of tourism in the Lake District, and we had a field trip to Bowness. I can vaguely remember just wandering around with a couple of friends. I can't remember what we did while we were there. It was like we had to get sort of comparisons of prices of objects in shops there in Bowness and then compare them to prices here, or well, when I say here, in our hometown, to see the difference and all that, among other things. Among other things, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, that's all I remember really doing. My only memory of it is a shopkeeper seeing an influx of teenagers into a shop and getting very confused and was like, "What are you all doing here?" And we were like, "Oh, we're on a school field trip." And he was like, "Yeah, whatever, leave." He was like a news agent or something. He was very unimpressed. For some reason, that's the thing I remember from it. I don't remember anything else from that field trip. How weird. How very strange. Just a slightly grumpy news agent. Well, he wasn't grumpy. He was just very deadpan and bemused, if I recollect correctly. Right, why am I talking about this? This is incredibly niche knowledge that is extremely probably of absolutely no interest to anybody watching this whatsoever. Why are you still watching this video, ladies and gentlemen? I think it's time for us to probably wrap up here. Okay, well, as I head back towards the standing stone to the nearest save point, hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about whatever random crap was on my head at this particular moment in time, which is the case with a lot of my Surrey Being Hunted videos. Very unoriginal, very unexciting, but what can you do? I guess that's why people watch it, though. You don't really watch it for rip-roaring excitement, do you? You watch it, I guess, because it's kind of like me. Because it's just kind of like a white noise that you can have on in the background, listening to me and my soporific voice rambling on about whatever the hell I'm talking about. Whatever boring shit I've got on my brain. Okay, yeah. Anyway, social media links, propaganda channel link, etc., down in the video description below for anyone interested. If you enjoyed, a like is of course always appreciated. And on that, I'll sign off and see you next time. Goodbye, everybody. Are you sure about that? Alright, well, I've got my ammo things now. Okay, pistol ammo. Oh, hello. More pistol ammo. That's good. Pistol ammo in all the dustbins. Well, this is very much familiar territory, everybody. I think, yeah, by the looks of it. Oh, the mouse has got a bit more sensitivity. That's good. Yeah, this is all familiar. Oh, they got voices as well. Oh, watch out for him. Oh, he's dead. Another one down. Oh. Cool, got that guy. Oh, look at that. Welcome to Malice City. So our setting actually now has a name. Oh, this is awesome. I like it already. Just been so. Woo. I don't remember that happening.